Yes, very good morning, everyone. Hope my screen is visible. And in today's class, we are going to deal with a part of module 2, that is solution to differential equations. Solution to differential equations. Okay, so that is what we are going to take in today's class. And once when I talk about an equation, there generally you have certain set of parameters which is to be varied, and depending on the parameters that you are going to vary, you are going to have a certain set of output that has been got there or that is to be achieved. Okay, so y is generally f of x, the general function that is to be present there, and depending on the parameter that you vary here. Okay, so x would be the parameter. Say let me take an equation similar to this, that is x squared plus 2x plus 3. So y will be having x squared plus 2x plus 3 as the equation. So whatever the values that I give here, okay, so the values of x what I give here, so depending on the values of x, you are going to have the output, that is the function y. So you have a simple graph sort of an explanation that can be given, and y is x. So similarly the pattern somewhat goes like this. Depending on the pattern that you get here, so you will be able to analyze what is the behavior of the system. Such a representation can also be achieved by the help of the differential equations, and you also have a term called as difference equations. Okay, so now I need to obtain the solution to the given differential equation. So let me write down a simple differential equation, that is a general form of a differential equation. So that is a naught d by dt power n y of t plus a1 d by dt n minus 1, and here also you have n minus 1, which is again the output y of t. So you have a function. Okay, so you have a function y is equal to dy by dx, so dy by dx. So certainly you have an output, okay, so which is generally the differentiability of the signal that is being present there, right? So that is how you can get the output of the system. Once you differentiate it, you will be having d by dx, okay, d by dx or d by dt. So those are the terms that are being present there for the differentiability or the differentiation operation being applied. So a simple solution for a differential equation is to be applied or is to be found out. So once you have a structure of this, so you can just extend it. So you'll be having an d by dt. Okay, so d by dt, that is y of t plus a, yeah, sorry, this is a n minus 1, and this one is a n y of t. Okay, so that would be equal to x of t. So here y of t and x of t, x of t are said to be the output and input. Okay, so output and input. So the input signal. So what is x of t? Can anyone unmute themselves and they can let me know what is x of t, the input signal. So x of t, is it in a continuous time domain or a discrete time domain?
Continuous time domain.
Exactly. So that is the continuous time domain. So the continuous time domain, as I always keep on repeating in the previous classes also, so you have x of t, which is nothing but the continuous time domain input. So you have the continuous time signal. Okay, so this is the continuous time LTI system, linear time invariant system, is represented by the differential equation. Okay, so this is the output, that is y of t. You have the input called as x of t. So always, if you want to represent a continuous time system in terms of the equations, okay, in terms of the equations, you will be going for the differential equation approach. Okay, so if I want to write x of t, so I have a sinusoidal function, okay, sine omega t there, right? So if I want to have the output of the system being characterized by the signal, that is the input signal, so you will be having the output equation being expressed in terms of the differential equations with the given input being applied. Okay, with this note, I would like to give the equation, that is s power n, d by dt power n, that is d power n. So whatever may be the parameter that I'm varying here, so s power n is nothing but the s domain approach that I'm going to have there. Okay, so the s domain approach that I'm going to have there. So what I can write these equations as, what I've written here, that is a naught, a1 and all. So a naught, a1 and all are generally the constants that are being present there, associated with respect to the differentiator operator that is being present there. So you have a naught, a1, an minus 1, an, so on. So all the things that are being present there are generally the differentiator operator that is present. Okay, so now how I can write this? So I can write it as a naught, okay, s power n. Okay, so the power of n is nothing but the number of times it is being differentiated, right? So a naught s power n plus a1 s power n minus 1 plus a2 s power n minus 2 and so on. So you will be having plus, yeah, definitely a n minus 1 s power 1, okay, plus a n, that would be equal to yes. So now if I have the input, okay, if I have the input, I can write it as the input signal, that is x of t, that is being present there. So this equation entirely, whatever that is being present there, so I need to take y of t, whatever that is being given there in the differentiator operator. So I need to take it as a common factor there. So how I'm differentiating here? I'm differentiating with respect to y of t, so or x of t, or any given continuous time domain system, whatever I am going to represent it here, I am going to take it outside. So this entire term is generally called as the characteristic equation. That is called as the characteristic equation. Okay, so this is the characteristic equation that is being present there, right? So now the equation, what I was going to write it for a continuous time domain, I can represent it via the characteristic equation. So if I have a characteristic equation that is being present there, so I can obtain the roots of the characteristics equation. Okay, so depending on the roots of the characteristics equation, okay, roots of the characteristics, I'm going to write it as ch. So depending on the roots of the characteristic equation, or nature of the character, after finding out the roots of the characteristic equation, so the nature of the characteristic equation plays a important role in finding out the response of a system. The response of a system is quite similar to that of the output of the system. So output of the system. So y of t is generally called the output of the system or the response of the system. Now, if I want to talk about the response of the system, I have two responses that is being present there. So one is the natural response, okay, the natural response of a system. Next, I have the forced response of a system. I have the natural response of a system and forced response of a system being present there, right? So depending on these two responses, I'm going to sum it up. Okay, I'm going to add both of them to get the total response of the system. I'm going to get the total response of the system. Fine. So now I have the natural response, okay, and I have the forced response being present there. So one such application where you are going to have the natural response, I'm going to write it as yn of t depending on the output, that is the natural response of the system, that is yn of t. Next you have the forced response of the system, yf of t. Okay, so once you are going to have yn of t and yf of t, you are going to have the total response of the system. Here, any doubts? I think someone unmuted and they were about to ask a doubt. So shall we proceed if there are no doubts? Okay. So depending on the natural response of the system and forced response of the system, we are going to find out the total response. So y total, that is y total of t, that would be equal to yn of t plus yf of t. Okay, so that is the total response of the system that is being present there, depends on the natural response. This one is the natural response. Okay, so this one is the natural response of the system, natural response, and this one is the forced response of the system. Okay, so now if I want to find out the natural response, first thing I want to find out the natural response of a system. Okay, so first thing I want to find out the natural response, that is yn of t. So this is quite important, I'm telling you, because once you fail to identify the type of the roots and the output that are going to use it depending on the roots of the characteristic equation, the form of the natural response is quite important here. Okay, so now I have the roots of the characteristics equation. So the natural response of the system, that is entirely dependent on the zero input being applied. Okay, so zero input being applied. Zero input being applied. So what do you generally mean by zero input being applied is, so once you are having no input that is given to a system. Okay, so if I have a system like this, x of t, and I have a system, say LTI system, and y of t is generally the output. So this input in its absence, or the input is being removed, or without any input, zero input being applied. So what is the nature of the system that is being present there? So you have a system that is characterized by the differential equation, say d squared y by dt squared plus 4d by dt of y of t plus y of t. Okay, so you have an input called as, say, u of t, the unit step function, simple one. Let me take it as a simple equation. So without the unit step function being applied as the input, how is the nature of the system that is being present there, right? So that is generally termed as the natural response of the system. So in case of the power system network, which is considered to be stable, so in certain cases you will be having the instability nature of a power system being present there, right? So you have at the generation end, or at the transmission end, or at the distribution end, so you will be having slight fluctuations that are being present there. Okay, so in such cases you need to avoid the input, and you are going to find out what is the response of the system with no input being applied. So that forms the natural response. So this natural response is also generally called as the transient response of the system. Okay, so in transient, it dies out quickly. Transient response. Okay, transients that are being present there in case of any power electronic devices or power converters. Okay, so you are going to find out the transient nature of it. It is generally being existing only for short duration of time, that is from 3 milliseconds to 10 milliseconds. Any transients that are being present there for shorter duration of time, which has like an impact on the system that is being present there, and you are going to call it as transients. Okay, so transients, or the response to the transients that are being present there, are generally called as the transient response of the system. Okay, so now if I want to find out the natural response of a system, so I need to have the characteristic equation. First step, I'll be going for the characteristic equation. So how is the characteristic equation? So s power n plus, that is a1 s power n minus 1 plus a2 s power n minus 2, okay, and so on, plus an minus 1 s power 1 plus an, that is equal to 0. Okay, so that is the characteristic equation. So why I have equated to 0? I want to find out the natural response of a system. Okay, so now I found out the roots of the characteristic equation. Roots of the characteristic equation. So assuming the roots to be real and distinct, you have a table. I'll share the table also. Okay, real and distinct. So you have a roots called as S1. You will be getting somewhat around -1, and S2 to be somewhat around -2. And if it is a third degree one, okay, so S3 will be there. Okay, that is d cube by dt cube. So that is, you will be having minus 3 and so on. Okay. So in case of such roots of the characteristic equation where it is real and distinct, you are going to find out the nature of the response. That is the nature of the response. In case of a natural response, you are going to find it as, that is, k1 e power s1, that is s1 of t, plus k2 e power s2 of t, and so on. Okay, so depending on the roots, you are going to find out e power sn of t, right? So that is how we are going to find out. So if I have two roots that are being present there in the system, I'll be having two constants. Okay, so I can restrict it to two constants, that is s1t plus k2 e power s2t. Okay, so that is how I can find out the natural response of the system for two roots. Okay, so for three roots, you are going to have one more constant that is being present there. Now, a question I can ask you people. Okay, so how we are going to find out the constants? I think you have studied in your differential equations concepts. Can anyone unmute themselves and they can let me know how we are going to find out the constants?
So using initial conditions which is given in the problems.
Very good, wonderful, wonderful. Yes. So how many initial conditions do you need for two roots?
Two, sir.
Exactly. So if you want to find out the constants k1 and k2, you are going to have the initial conditions of the system being present there. So without the initial conditions, it is not easy to find out the constants k1 and k2. You can go for trial and error method, or you need to subject it to a simulation model, and then you have to find out what is the output of the system. Okay, so in such cases, with the initial conditions given, it becomes easy for us to find out the natural response of the system. Okay, so if no initial conditions are given, you can take it as 0 and then you can find it out. Okay, so such approach is to be present there in order to find out k1 and k2 as the constants. That is nothing but the initial conditions of it. Okay, so now, so in order to find out what happens when the other roots are being given, a simple table I can write it here. So roots of the characteristic equation. So it is better that you have to memorize this. So once the roots are real and distinct, as I already told you, the real and distinct, so it is real roots, that is s1 and s2 s3 somewhat, that are real and distinct. So what is the form of the natural response? What is the form of natural response? What is the form of the natural response? So you'll be having k e power rt. So r, what I've represented here, it is for real and distinct. So if I have s1, you can write it as s1 here. Okay, so now this is the first one. Second one, now I'll be having a complex conjugate. Okay, so I'll be having a complex conjugate in terms of the roots that are complex in nature, and definitely conjugate terms that are being present there. So if it takes the form a plus or minus j omega, okay, so what I can write it as e power at, okay, e power at k1 cos omega t plus k2 sin omega t. Okay, so very important concept here. So this should be the form of natural response once you are having the complex conjugate, that is e power at k1 cos omega t plus k2 sin omega t. Next, real and distinct, you are going to have the form of the natural response as k e power rt. Third one, so what you are going to do once it is real and distinct, definitely, and if the roots are repeated in nature, if the roots are repeated, say for example, you are going to get the roots as s1 equals s2, okay, that is equal to -1. So that is a repeated nature of the root that is being present there, right? So carefully observe here. In the second one, you are going to have e power at, okay, e power at k1 cos omega t plus k2 sin omega t. So in case of it is repeated, I'll be having r power, the value, that is p plus 1, that is repeated in nature. You are going to have e power rt, okay, that is k naught plus k1 t plus you are going to have k2 t squared, and so on. You are going to have till you are going to have till kp t power p. Okay, so you're going to have it like that. So that is the roots of the characteristic equation. Based on the roots of the characteristic equation, you are going to have the form of the natural response. So if it is real and repeated, I'll show you in the numerical problems in the coming minutes. You are going to have a real and distinct root, a complex, and real and repeated, all the terms being present there. Okay, so this is one important table. If it is not visible properly, I'll be sending you again. You have to go through this table for finding out the natural response of the system. Now, I just finished about the natural response of the system. Second one is the forced response of the system. Forced response of a system. Okay, so why I'm going slow is this is one thing which is very important. Okay, so forced response of a system, again it is being designed using the differential equations. So now in the previous one we didn't have the input signal being applied. So in case of the forced response of the system, that is yf of t, you are going to have the input signal being applied. You are going to have the input signal being applied. Input signal being applied. Okay, so even in the previous one, so we didn't have the input signal. So here in case of the forced response of the system, we are going to have the input signal that is to be applied. So how the system reacts, how the system is subjected to a change once you are having the input signal being applied. Okay, so in case of the input signal being applied, so I'll be having the forced response of the system. Okay, so again here also the forced solution is given in the differential equation approach, and along with the natural response and the forced response of the system, we are going to have the output signal, that is the total response of the system. So why total? Okay, in the given problem they might ask as either to find out the natural response of the system or the forced response of the system or the total response of the system with the given initial conditions. Okay, so the forced response is generally again dependent on the input signal being applied. So what happens, how we are going to find out the constants that are being present there in the forced response? Again, you are going to have the table. Okay, so the initial conditions to find out the forced response is also required. But one thing you have to be very clear that, so whatever the initial conditions that we use it for the natural response of the system, we can't take it. Okay, so whatever the initial conditions that is being there for the natural response of the system, we can't take it for the forced response of the system. Okay, so the total response is generally given by the sum of the natural response and the forced response of the system. Okay, so that is one thing that is being present there. Now, as I already told you, the natural response of a system is called as the transient response. This is important one. In case of your competitive exams, they might ask you to find out the transient response of a system, right? So that is where you are going to find out the natural response. Now, in order to find out the steady state response, that is where you are going to call it, or that is where you are going to find out the forced response of a system. Yf of t is called as the forced response of a system, is generally called as the steady state response of a system. Steady state response of the system. Okay, so very important concept here, that is natural response is called as a transient response, forced response is called as the steady state response. Okay, so you are going to have the forced response of a system depending on the table that I'm going to write it here, right? So depending on the input signal, okay, depending on the input signal, you'll be having the structure of forced response. Structure of the forced response. Okay, so you can relate it when you call any transient equations. Okay, so identify the behavior of the transient response of a system. You might get it, isn't it? So there you are going to find out the natural response of a system once you are having the differential equations being designed. So depending on the initial conditions, you can give it as 0. Okay, you can give it as 0 initially, the initial conditions, if it is not specified. So then you can find out the natural response of a system. Next, in order to find out the forced response of a system, you need to have the input. Okay, so the input, first one, you are having a constant input, say C0. Okay, so the structure of the forced response, that is YF of t, will be equal to another constant called as C1, or you can call it as K1 or K, whatever it is. So the input, generally you have the unit step signal being applied, so that can be considered as a constant also. The value is said to be constant. It doesn't vary when t greater than or equal to 0. So you can call C0 or U of t. Okay, U of t, whatever that is present there, the unit step function, you can write the forced response of a system to be equal to another constant. Okay, so you can call it as a constant here. So second one, you are going to have e power alpha t. E power alpha t, you can write it as C times e power alpha t. Third one, you are going to have cos omega t plus beta. Okay, so whatever may be the angle that is being present there and the angular frequency omega t, you are going to write it as C1 cos omega t plus C2 sin omega t. You have to remember this, or else it would be difficult for you to write the structure of the forced response. This is the forced response YF of t that is being present here, right? So next, fourth one, you are going to have e power alpha t multiplied with cos omega t plus beta. So multiplying these two inputs. So if I have the fourth one, that is e power alpha t into cos omega t plus beta. So what I'm going to have, so along with this, you are going to have the e power alpha t being multiplied. So e power alpha t, C1 cos omega t plus C2 sin omega t. Okay, next, fifth one, I have an input called as t. Okay, so I can write t as t into u of t also. Okay, so t into u of t. So what is the structure of the forced response? So that is C0 plus C1t. Okay, sixth one, if the roots are being repeated, right? I mean, sorry, t power p. Okay, so it's been repeated, right? So t squared, t cubed. So in such cases, you are going to have the structure of the forced response as C0 plus C1t plus C2 t squared plus Cp t power p. Okay, next, seventh one, I'll be having t e power alpha t. Okay, so that would be e power alpha t C0 plus C1t. Very easy to remember. Once you find out e power alpha t, the structural response is C times e power alpha t. So these are the main things here. So 1, 2, 3 are the main thing along with t, the fifth one. So rest of the things are being derived from these four. Okay, if you can observe carefully, the structure of the forced response depends on the input. So these are the four things that are being very importantly highlighted there. So rest of the thing, that is the fourth one, sixth one, and the seventh one, are being derived from the other inputs that are being present there, right? So now a case arises where you are going to have the repeated roots. Okay, so I have the input, say x of t, you are going to have e power alpha t. Okay, so e power alpha t. Okay, whatever the exponential term that is being present there, here what I'll be writing, I can write it as e power minus 2t. I give an example, I'll give an example and then I can able to relate it. So x of t would be equal to e power minus 2t. Okay, so now this alpha would be equal to minus 2 if you can compare. Now this alpha, which is equal to minus, where the root of a characteristic equation, I'm specific here, I'm only talking about one root. Okay, so if any of the root of the characteristic equation, okay, any of the root of the characteristic equation is same as that of alpha, okay, is same as that of alpha, you can have the forced response structure must be multiplied with t then. Okay, so if it is repeated once, now if it is repeated twice, you are going to multiply it by t into t, that is t squared. What I want to mean here is, if alpha is the root of the characteristic equation, okay, hope you are getting, if alpha is the root of the characteristic equation, repeated k times, then the structure of the forced response, the structure of the forced response must be multiplied with t power k. Okay, if it is repeated twice, it is t squared. Okay, if k takes a value 2, if it is repeated twice, okay, so now if it is repeated twice, you are going to multiply it with t squared. Okay, a simple approach how you can generally find out the structure of the forced response if alpha is being repeated twice. Okay, so let me take up a simple problem to make you understand. Okay, I have 3 problems. Y dash of t plus 2y of t, that would be equal to t. Okay, so the second problem is y dash of t plus 2y of t is equal to cos t. Okay, the third problem, that is this one. I have y dash of t plus 2y of t, that would be equal to e power minus 2t. Okay, now I have this differential equations, that is y dash is nothing but d by dt of y of t. Okay, y2 dash, that would be equal to d by dt, I mean d squared by dt squared y of t. I'm going to differentiate it twice. Okay, so now y dash of t plus 2y of t, that would be equal to t. Can I write it like this? Yeah, can I write it like this? I know that here, just look here, y dash of t plus 2y of t, that would be equal to t times u of t. Why did I not write delta of t into delta of t? Can anyone unmute themselves and they can let me know why did I not write like this as t into delta of t? They can unmute themselves and they can let me know. Is anyone there in the meeting or? Yes, okay. Now, I have this input that is being present there as t into u of t being written. Why did I write as t into u of t? I have the input, I need the input that is on the right hand side of the equation. So I don't need at t is equal to 0 itself or at any other values. So if it is at u of minus t, then I would have written it as the left-handed signal, right? So this one is a positive value. So I need the input signal being applied as t there, right? So with the input signal being applied as t into u of t, so that is being multiplied for n or t that is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so now I need to evaluate the forced response of the system. Evaluate the forced response of the system. That is the question that has been asked here. Okay, evaluate the forced response of the system. So how we are going to evaluate the forced response of the system? Depending on the input. So given input x of t is t times u of t. Okay, given input, that is x of t, this is the given input, okay, that is t into u of t, or x of t will be equal to t here, right? So given input, that is x of t, that would be equal to t. How is the forced response? Yf of t. So how I can write it as the equation, that is c naught plus C1t. Okay, I can write it as C0 plus C1t. Okay, now this forced response of a system is dependent on the input, right? So now I want to find out the constants C0 and C1 here. So what do? I differentiate it again. Ya dash of yf dash of t, that is equal to, so I need to differentiate it, C0. If I differentiate, that is 0 plus C1. Okay, so you are going to have yf dash, that would be equal to C1. Okay, yf dash of t, that would be equal to C1. Okay, so now if I have yf dash of t and yf, I can replace it in equation 1. Replace y dash and y of t as the equation that is being present here. So I'll erase it. Yes, I can replace it with yf dash of t, that is equal to C1. So I can write it as C1 plus 2 into C0 plus C1t, that would be equal to the equation, that is input being applied, 1 into t. Okay, so C1 plus 2C0 plus 2C1t, that would be equal to t then. Okay, so here I'll be having C1 plus 2C0, that would be equal to 0. So 2C0, that would be equal to minus C1. So that is 2C1 equals 1. So C1 would be equal to 0.5. C1 would be equal to 0.5. So how do I find out C0? So if given C1, that would be equal to 0.5. So I can replace it with this equation to find C0 as minus 0.25. Okay, so hope you are getting this. So in order to find out the forced response of a system, I know C0 and C1. I can replace it with minus 0.25 plus C1, that is 0.5 into T. Okay, I can write the forced response of a system like this. Okay, so that's how you are going to find out the forced response of the system. Okay, the second problem, this one is the third problem. This is the second problem. Y dash of t plus 2y of t, that would be equal to cos t u of t. Okay, I repeat, it is cos t, it is not sin t. Remember this very clearly. So y dash of t, only with these inputs, you are going to find out the structure of the forced response. If the structure of the forced response will be in that manner itself, and you are going to find out depending on the input being applied. So here also the third problem, that is e power minus 2t into u of t. Okay, I'll give this problem to Rohini, that is the third problem. Okay, so this problem here, I can give it to Punit. Okay, so Rohini and Punit, if they are not in the meeting, just inform them. The second problem, that is y dash of t plus 2y of t cos t. Punit would be solving today and giving the answer, and Rohini MV, the third problem, she is going to solve it and she is going to find out. Okay, so I'm going to record certain numerical problems and I'm going to send it to you if possible, or else we'll have the discussion in the tomorrow's class. That is the first hour. Thursday first hour, I'm going to take it. Okay, so with this note, yes, with this note, let me stop the recording.